Welcome to Back Talk Live. I'm Tom Hardigree. Do this every week. We try to have guests when we can, and we do tonight. Alicia Barnett is with me tonight. She is running for city council in Bowersville. We'll be talking to her in a few minutes. My purpose for doing this, as I talked about last week, people do different things to serve their community. Some people, join civic clubs. Some people, decide to run for political office. All of those things are good things, and we need people to do all of those things. I do this. I just rather do this alone or with a guest or something, but because it's important, I think it's very, very important to have a way that you can call in to express your opinion about your government, about what happens with your taxes. You can text, and that is an anonymous text if you like. I don't ever call out names unless I'm asked to. You can phone call in. You can come on the show. All you got to do is call me and ask me about it. When we can pencil you in, we'll do it. I've got a question for you already. But anyway, we'll be back to see if maybe the situation in Bowersville can be addressed a little bit, and maybe Alicia's opponent would like to come on. I don't even know who it is. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about what we're about to talk about. I don't know hardly anything about Bowersville, but we're going to try. So anyway, hang around. We'll be back after the break. Take your calls, your texts, just whatever you want to do. Hey, Lee, what you doing?
My air's quit working. I'm going to call McGee Heating and Air.
Wait a minute. You got a screwdriver? I know a good bit about this. I can walk you through it. Won't take but a second. Should have called McGee Heating and Air.
McGee Heating and Air. Comfort you can count on.
All right, welcome back. Alicia, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I have a text already for you, but I want to ask you the question that I always open up these things. Why are you doing this?
Well, I want to give a voice to the little man. I want your everyday law-abiding tax-paying citizens. That, and I had been a volunteer for Bowersville for a while now, helping with the events and anything that I could, and I just want to take the next step.
Yeah. What kind of events does Bowersville have? I just know very little about Bowersville.
Well, we had been having movie nights, and we just didn't have the outcome that we was hoping for, and we had an Easter. I did the Easter event, and we had a really good turnout for it. We did it at the park. We opened the park back up, and we had a park cleanup day, and a bunch of volunteers got together and went down there and cleaned up the park. And we have a car show coming up in October. Then we have a Florida Georgia tailgate and chili cook-off in November, and then our Miracle on Main in December.
Let me just ask you, because I have no idea, what kind of turnout do you have for things?
It varies. Some days you have a good turnout, and then some days you don't have that many. We had a scavenger hunt that was scheduled for this month, but we just didn't have the turnout or the feedback that we thought we would get for it, and so we're not doing that one this month, but we are going to continue with the car show and the rest of the events that we have planned.
Well, does Bowersville have, what are the demographics? Do you have a lot of younger people, or? I think of Bowersville as being a bunch of old folks. I don't know why, but I just think of that.
Well, there is a lot of the older generation that are there, but a lot of new families are moving in with smaller children, and it's growing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Bowersville's growing. Well, that's good. All right, let's see here. Oh, That was a real estate text. I've got a text for you, however. Will you please ask your guest what the city of Bowersville offers to its citizens that could not be offered by the county, thus eliminating city taxes and all the squabbling? By the way, I appreciate her appearing on your show. Well, and I do too. I think, probably what he's getting at is maybe I guess he is getting the city to just do away with the city charter and become a part of the county and let the county provide the services.
Well, we are hoping to see Bowersville grow. We have huge plans for the gin and a park. The town has purchased, I believe, 17 acres, and if anyone would like to come by, the plans are at the town hall. We have partnered with the Archway program, the UGA Archway program, and we really want to see Bowersville come back to life, to not what it used to be, but to grow. I mean, this is our future, our children's future. We want something to be proud of.
Well, this might be a stupid question, and a lot of people already know the answer, but I just don't. What did Bowersville used to be? I know there are some buildings there that have been there since I was a kid, and as far as I know, they've just been
Well, it used to be
there.
cigar factory, I believe.
Cigar factory? Are you kidding me?
And they had good business back then. If you look up Bowersville was once a booming little town. They had their own schools and everything. And with the fires that came through, it just couldn't get started back. Well, that's what we would like to see happen with Bowersville, to see slow, steady growth, not nothing major, just its own little diner, its own little convenience store. Just give it something to sustain itself, so that way we're not relying on the county for everything.
How would you, I know that because I do know about what Hartwell does. There are two different schools of thought. One of them is, I want to live in a small town and keep it small and keep it conservative. And the other one is, we want to grow. We want, and that's kind of always been a big question in Hartwell is, what do you mean by let's grow? How much do you want to grow? Do you want to be like Anderson, Athens, Atlanta, San Francisco? What do you want to be like?
We just want to be just a small hometown. Nothing like Hartwell, nothing huge like Athens, just to be able to sustain ourselves without having to rely on the county for everything. The park, for instance, I mean, you could have camping. It's going to have a little water park. The farmers market they're wanting to put into the gin, which could later be converted into a wedding venue. All of them are things that could bring revenue to Bowersville, to make people proud, to say, which everybody's already proud to say I'm from Bowersville, but just to give it its own little oomph.
Yeah. Well, now you say water park. You talking about one of these things with slides?
No.
Oh, yeah.
It would be modeled in the image of Bowersville, and it's just like a kid's play area, kind of like a splash pad, but just a different version of it. Something really small, but something that would bring the younger generation, not, when I mean younger, I mean the parents of these kids in. And
well, so let me ask you this. This is something I sort of talk about a lot. How would you achieve that? Would you be trying to get private businesses to come in, or would you be trying to get grants and build like a government splash pad type thing?
Well, that would be a mixture of both. We would love to see the DDA get started, so that way we could be available for more grants and stuff like that. But we also encourage, if somebody wants to come in and build a little restaurant, go talk to them. The buildings are just sitting there. If we don't put something in them or start working on them, they're going to be of no use. They're going to be obsolete.
You hear about, everybody wants a Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A makes a very good point to everybody that says, please come and build in our area. They already know. They've got a big marketing department. They already know about Hartwell and Bowersville and Livonia and everywhere else. They know where the traffic is, where they can sell the most chicken. And it is not Hartwell, and I can assure you it's not Bowersville. So my point here is, anybody that builds a restaurant either needs to have a lot of people in the area, or there needs to be a major highway running through that, where people would stop in. How would Bowersville try to attract a restaurateur to come there?
Well, we're not talking about your franchise restaurants. We're talking about your hometown diner, somewhere where you can get up and go to in the morning and have your cup of coffee and sit there and talk with all your friends, or go there for lunch or something like that. We just want to make it a home, really. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah.
But we don't want Chick-fil-A's or Burger King's or stuff like that. We just want a small business to help generate some revenue.
And you would you offer them tax incentives, or how do you what's the plan? How do you plan to attract somebody to come in and bring and build a?
Well, I believe tax incentives should be offered.
Uh-huh.
And in Bowersville, right now, you would have to go to Livonia or Royston or Hartwell to get anything to eat. So a lot of people could get up in the morning on their way to take their kids to school and stop by the diner and grab a biscuit.
Mm-hmm. This is funny, but my daughter moved to Chattanooga, and I live north of Clarksville, so the way for me to go to Chattanooga is to snake up. I go through the Richard B. Russell Parkway, Blairsville, snake around there, and I eventually come to a place that I hadn't been to since I was 11 years old, McKaysville, Georgia, and Copper Hill, Tennessee. Right on the Georgia-Tennessee line, McKaysville is the Georgia town, and Copper Hill is the Tennessee town. And there's the Toccoa River becomes the Ocoee River at this bridge in the middle of town. It's the neatest little town, and I wish I would pattern your town after that as much as you can, because you go through this place, you don't see any governmental buildings. You don't have a big obnoxious city hall or obnoxious courthouse or a big fire station right there in the middle of town, built all modern and everything. You don't have any of that. It looks like a place that it looks like you're stepping right into the 50s. It looks it's bigger than Bowersville, but it'd be a good thing to go for.
Oh, that's what I would love to see happen.
And they have restaurants. They have these real neat stores where you can buy fishing equipment and kayaking equipment and all the rest. And then you go back, and they've got these old buildings. They have gone inside these old buildings and made a cool little mall. And the mall doors open inside to go to other stores and art gallery type places and all that. It is really cool. Let's see, we've got, is it possible for the train to run from Hartwell to Bowersville again?
Now, that is something that would have to be asked to the railroad company, but I would love to see the railway incorporated into everything that is done in Bowersville. I mean, it is a major part of it. It runs right through the middle. I believe we need to work with the railroad company and see what their plans are for Bowersville, what they would like to see happen, but build on the fact that we do have a railroad that comes through there. Railroads, they're not as many as they used to be, and we need to incorporate them into anything that we do.
Yeah, I don't have a clue what would happen. There was a guy that bought the railroad here one time, and he was going to put dining cars on that and go back and forth from Bowersville to Hartwell. Maybe Mr. Anderson, who owns the railroad station, railroad company, would do that. We got to take a break, though. You ready for a break?
That's fine with me.
You getting tired? We need to rest. We'll be right back.
Some things are just better left to the professionals. So when it's time for home improvement, make sure you call Herring Gutter and Insulation. Whether it's window replacement, gutters, insulation, or siding, Herring Gutter and Insulation can make your home look new again. Call today for a free estimate or visit us online at herringgutter.com.
Look at all this painting's tough business. Look, I got a spot on my shirt. Yeah. Hi, folks. We're the Dairy Queen of Hartwell to give breakfast eaters a voice. So how'd you fellas like your Dairy Queen breakfast?
Oh, they're mighty fine.
Excellent.
The best breakfast in town.
Good breakfast.
How do you like high taxes?
I don't like them too good.
I don't like them in the local level or any other part of government.
Don't like them at all.
I don't like high taxes.
4 out of 4 breakfast eaters choose Dairy Queen food over high taxes. And Ray, how do you like Back Talk Live?
Back Talk Live.
Welcome back to Back Talk 5. I almost let you bring us back because that was daydreaming. The DDA. Now, I'm not, I don't know a ton about the DDA. I know that they sponsor a lot of things around Hartwell. As best I can tell, there's a group of people on the DDA and they get together and they think of things that they think would help the community and they, try to raise money. I don't know all I need to know about it, but I know they try to raise money to do various projects I think they're in charge of this scarecrow thing. People around, build these scarecrows and put them outside their buildings and outside their homes, and that's one of the things pretty sure they're the ones that do the, maybe they don't, maybe that's the
Main Street.
Maybe, I don't know what all they do, but they do a lot.
Yes.
And they do a good job. All right, now from the same guy that sent the text message about maybe Bowersville becoming a part of Hart County, says Newburgh has a gas station, a restaurant, and a Dollar General, yet they don't have a city government. Reed Creek is also an example where a government is not necessary. Bowersville has a government and not a single business. Is it just a coincidence? Something I hadn't thought about.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure the person who that got Bowersville back on its own charter and all, I'm sure they had big plans for Bowersville. Just like anybody that moves into Bowersville when there's nothing there. There is nothing there, but there is potential there. There is historical buildings that could be preserved. There is ideas that have been presented to Bowersville by the Archway program. There's lots of things that could happen with Bowersville, and it needs the government to make sure that it all goes smoothly.
Mm-hmm. I think we're having an alarm that's going off here. But West to the rescue, and there you go. Well, here's sort of, I know this fella, and I know what he's thinking. He's thinking that if you get the government involved, you're apt to have more problems than if you allow the market to work itself out. I know that if there is a demand, there will be a supply. And what I don't know, because I don't know much about Bowersville, what I don't know is, what's the population? Do you know?
There's 450, I believe.
All right, with 450 people, you'd have to, if you had a restaurant, you'd have to draw from other areas. Mm-hmm. Cannon, I guess, and maybe Livonia, I don't know, but you'd have to, 450 people couldn't sustain a restaurant because all 450 wouldn't be eating there every day.
Well, we have the new road that will be coming through, and so that's going to throw more traffic into our area. Plus, with the way the freight route will go, there's going to be more people in.
Yeah, and I think at that point, I don't know anything. I hope you understand that, but it seems like at the point where you got more traffic, railroad traffic and automobile traffic, at that point, somebody will see the opportunity and go in and do it. And I know this fella, and I know what he's thinking. If you have the government to somehow get involved with building a restaurant, the government may have to just keep propping it up until that population comes or that traffic comes. I guess is what he's thinking.
Well, first let me say I'm not a politician. I've never been a politician or really followed all of that.
Well, let me shake your hand.
But I do believe that with the changes that are coming to Bowersville, there needs to be a group of citizens, I'm not going to call them politicians because it's all citizens that live there, to help govern the growth and the changes that are coming. Because with the new interstate and all that's coming through, with the freight route for Georgia 17 to Tennessee, down the Georgia coast, there is a lot of traffic that's going to be coming that way. We want to attract people in so that way we're not relying on the county as much, but also to help Bowersville was a good place at one time as far as its economics and stuff like that. It's still a great place to live, but you want to be able to sustain your own little town without having to rely on somebody. And that's what Bowersville is doing right now. We have no convenience stores. We have nothing in Bowersville. But with the growth that's coming, it's going to happen.
Yeah. So the squabble you've had with the county, all right, and I know that y'all, the city put these speed bumps in, and I got to say, they were pretty obnoxious.
Yes.
I went up there just to test them out, and you had to come to a complete stop and ease over those things. And, you know, and there were 4 of them. I only went over 3. I gave up and came back. But anyway, and I know that, I think that from what I'm hearing, you know, Bowersville has every right to some of the people. They have every right to build speed bumps if they want to. On the other hand, the county says, well, whoa, Nellie Bell, you know, you're disrupting the emergency services sometimes. So those are the two schools of thought. And I know that some of the people in Bowersville felt like, well, wait a minute, hold it. We got our own town. We can do what we want to, and the county shouldn't have anything to say about it. Where are you?
Well, Bowersville has had an issue with speeding on that road for 10 years or more. It has been an issue. Do I think the speed bumps were too high? Yes. Do I believe that the emergency personnel should have been the first people that was contacted and had, you know, their input put on it? Yes. Do I believe the speed bumps should have been pulled up within 30 minutes after the vote without any of the town council knowing that they was coming up that night? No, I don't. There should have been some type of negotiation. There was a problem. No solution was presented.
Well, you say speeding. I like speeding myself. How fast will people go when you think?
You are talking 55, 60 in a 25 mile per hour zone. When you have 18-wheelers coming down through there doing that type of speed and they meet another car on a road that Bowersville has done have the road study proven that the road is too small for the trucks to be on anyway, there's going to eventually be a problem. And that is a slow pedestrian walking sign. You've got people walking up through there and cars going that fast. It's just an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah. It was a strange problem. What else is going on in Bowersville we need to know about?
Well, Bowersville is trying to get the DDA started. A lot of people are against the DDA right now, and I understand their concerns by thinking that the DDA is going to have this huge control over Bowersville. But it's not like that. The DDA will be responsible for the stuff that is inside of the city limits. They can't raise taxes. They can't do nothing with the roads or anything like that. Anything that they do pretty much is going to go through town council. But it will open up new opportunities for grants and for help with building the park and the gym and stuff like that, that right now Bowersville doesn't currently have. And we are looking for volunteers to come in and help us to find these grants or to help us with the events or to help Bowersville, period. But it's a volunteer effort.
These grants, of course, that's one of my pet peeves. I think grants are going to ruin the country, but but the problem with grants, philosophically, my problem with grants are the big government takes our money away from us, whether we like it or not. Then they say, we'll give you this free money back, this grant money, if you'll, obey some rules, and if you'll also kick in, let's say 20% or something like that of your own local tax money. So your taxes will go up to pay for these, this matching stuff. But anyway, that's on the other hand, it is true that if you don't get them, somebody else will. So it's and the big politicians know that.
Well, if we get the grants and we build the gym or something like that, then we are allowed, once it's paid off, we're getting revenue.
Yeah.
We're no longer being supported by the government, or the county's not having to support us. And like I said, we're not wanting no major growth. We just want Bowersville to be able to sustain itself, to be able to have the income to fix its own streets and the infrastructure that we are facing, the problems with it right now.
Yeah.
That we just don't have the money to fix any other way.
One of the best things I think that a government could do, they don't do it, but they could do, is to say, all right, here's what we're going to do, people. We got this grant. We're going to have to put up 20% of the grant, match it with 20% funds. But what we're going to do is after we're through with this project, we're going to reduce your taxes. We're going to, that 20% that we took away from you, we're going to reduce them after this thing is over. That would be so refreshing.
Oh yeah, everybody wants lower taxes, and right now Bowersville has some of the lowest taxes that are around. And with or without the DDA or building these things, if for the roads to be fixed and all, eventually taxes are going to go up. That's just in any town that you go to. Is inevitable.
Yeah. One thing you probably got a lot of people that move there because of the low taxes too. Well, it's government, is no longer limited like it was in the beginning of the country's history, but we're growing. Government is growing everywhere you look.
It is.
Tell me this, we're just about out of time, but tell people what you need them to know, how to get in touch with you, what your plan is, what you want them to know.
Well, I will be having a Meet the Candidate. It will be October the 6th from 2 to 4 at the community center. The other candidates, they have done scheduled one for this Sunday, 2 to 4 at the community center. But I would love for anybody to come out. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, AliciaBarnett1985@outlook.com. I mean, I have nothing to hide. I would love to answer people's questions. I am here for the little man. I have been that little man my whole life. Like I said, I'm not a politician. I'm sketchy of the government myself. And so, but I want to be the little man's voice. If they have a problem, come to me about it. I will do anything that I can to help them to fix it, and us all work together for a common goal.
Yeah. Now I got a question. Has she talked to citizens to see how many people in the county really want to see growth?
Well, we have a select few that have voiced their opinion against growth. As far as the people that are for the growth, yes, I believe there are a lot of the citizens there that want to see the growth, because it's not just them. It's like I said, it's our future, it's our children, it's our grandchildren. Do we want to leave them something that they will be proud of, something that they can work on and build? I mean, look at Hartwell. Hartwell's huge right now. Bowersville needs to be able to like I said, self-sustain.
Or is there in your race, you do have an opponent?
Yes.
Is it a race between growth and non-growth? You're the growth candidate, and
I am
he or
not
she
sure.
is.
I know nothing of her platform.
Uh-huh.
I don't know nothing about it. It hasn't been brought up. I've made mine very clear. You know, I do want to see slow growth, and like I said, nothing huge, just where Bowersville can work on its own roads and stuff and be able to pay for it. But I know nothing about my opponent. All I know is they're having a meet and greet Sunday.
Well, it's a cute little town. That's all I can tell you.
It is. It's adorable, and it has so much potential to be able to preserve the history that is there. Bowersville has a lot of history and it could be preserved, and to be able to teach the generations coming up, you know, what happened there. And
well, I'm just so happy to know there was a cigar company there at one time. They made cigars there.
as far as I know, they did.
That is really cool. Well, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me on.
Good, best of luck. If you win, I hope you go on to become governor.
No. I don't want to be no governor.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
We'll be back shortly. How about it?
Tom, I can't wait to see Gina's new store.
Me either. Lee, don't let me go overboard in here, please. Lee, she's got beautiful jewelry. She's got men's wallets.
Oh, yeah, I've been looking for one.
Why don't you go ahead and get that and see what happens?
Tom, you need some t-shirts, man. Simply Southern. Look at all this.
Oh, yeah, man. I think I'll get a t-shirt, Lee. I think I'll get one.
Tom, they've got totes, monogrammed, insulated and uninsulated.
Yeah, man. I got to have this one. Lee, they've even got monogrammed handbags.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. I think the wife would like this one.
Sure. Tom, they even had a pet section. Pet deodorizers, pet scarves, clothes.
Leroy, they got strutting cotton, turn rose, and southern sipping t-shirts. Well, thank you, Leroy.
Tom, she's got a line of Bible covers, Bibles, Christian books, even books for kids.
And my favorite, the King James Version. That's the one that Moses read. Leroy, they got this spirit wear, Hart County stuff, Georgia Bulldogs, some Clemson stuff, and they got these neat towels.
For all of your gift-giving needs, visit G's Southern Traditions, located at 36 North Forest Avenue in downtown Hartwell. And we can monogram almost anything.
Well, looks like you did go a little crazy, didn't you?
Frankly, my friend, I don't give a.
The Hartwell Housing Authority features decent, safe, and sanitary housing for low-income families. Each of the 7 apartment complexes are located in the Hartwell city limits and feature 24-hour maintenance, landscaping, as well as 24-hour surveillance. You can choose apartments from 1 bedroom all the way up to 4 bedrooms. All apartments are periodically renovated, and stoves and refrigerators are furnished. Gas, water, sewage, and garbage pickup are also included. The Hartwell Housing Authority. Applications may be picked up daily.
Welcome back to Back Talk Live. That was really, I've learned more about Bowersville the last 30 minutes than I ever have known about Bowersville. Alicia did a great job. I did get another text message just now. It says, wow, WKLY is reporting the city of Hartwell is getting a $2.5 million grant to be matched by a $3.3 million local match. The grant will make critical water infrastructure improvements to protect businesses from flooding in Hartwell. Am I missing something? I never saw on TV Hartwell where businesses were flooded. Senator Perdue gives Trump credit. Doug Collins says this is necessary to protect Hartwell from flooding. This grant is why Trump and so-called conservative Republicans are contributing to our national debt. I mean, I'm like you, Texter. Are you missing something? I don't know anything about Hartwell ever having a problem with flooding. That's weird to me. So they're wanting a $3.3 million contribution from Hartwell. Man, you know, Hartwell's got enough on his plate, it seems to me. They have taken on a lot of projects that seem to me like they are really, it's kind of like a rubber band that you just pull in, you can just hear just about to pop. So I don't know what will happen there. But thank you for letting me know that. That's pretty wild. So anyway, what do y'all want to talk about? You know, I was thinking about a couple of things. You know, I know that some of the politicians say, well, Tom's just negative about everything. See, there are two different ways of looking at government. The politicians, the typical politician, not all of them, but the typical politician looks at government as a vehicle to produce growth. They think of government growth as real growth. They think that when you build governmental buildings or you expand governmental programs or invent new governmental programs, in their minds, you are expanding the economy. In their minds, if they build a new building, for example, in their minds, they are providing jobs. They are getting people to come in and build things. And they're true. And that's true to a certain extent. But when you stop right there, you've stopped too soon. When you take money away from productive people and you spend it on something, that's true. You are getting those jobs, and then after it's over, it's gone. But if you let these productive people keep their money, they're not going to keep their money. They're going to either spend their money or they're going to save their money. If they spend their money, and then it's obvious to anybody can figure out that you're going to get economic growth because they're going to be spending their money. Jobs are going to be created. The kinds of jobs that will go on long after that governmental building has been built and is sitting there taking tax money to air condition, heat it, and paint it, and cut the grass outside of it. If the consumers, if the owners of that money, the productive people, if they save their money, they're going to take it down to the bank. They're going to put that money in the bank. The bank's going to loan that money out to somebody. The bank's going to make money in the process. The person's going to make money in the process. And whoever they loan it to is going to produce something that's going to make money for them and provide jobs for other people. So that's the way that it works. And unfortunately, most politicians think that what they're doing is causing growth. They will say, you've seen it here in Hart County, they'll say, well, if we can only build thus and so, it's going to bring tourism in here. We've spent millions and millions of dollars on things, on governmental things, to try to attract tourism, and we're still trying to think of more and more government things to build to attract tourism. It's not happening. There's never any accountability for those promises. Nobody ever says, okay, we're going to prove it. After we build this building or we start this program, we're going to prove by these numbers, by something or another, we're going to prove to you that our idea was right. The experiment we tried was right. And that's all they are, people. They're experiments. They have ideas. Now, in a company, a big company, a hotel, for example, or as I mentioned before with Alicia, restaurant chains like Chick-fil-A and all the rest, they have marketing departments. They have people who study these things. They know where to put their businesses. They know what to do based on some hard evidence, because they're spending money and they don't want to lose money. They want to make money. It's not like government. It's not like they can afford to just say, well, we're gonna build this hotel, and if it doesn't go, it doesn't really matter because we'll just go back to the taxpayer and they'll keep things going. That's just not the way. But that's the way it works with government. You get people that have a bunch of ideas. They say, well, gosh, I think this will be good. Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. Let's do that. And then they give it a shot. And it either works or it doesn't. Now, let me tell you what I think is going on with the state park based on rumors I've heard. The state park is an experiment. I know I've been chastised and said it's not an experiment, it's an investment, but it's an experiment. And the experiment, they started out with a good idea, as I've said, a good idea, an idea of a 4-star hotel or some kind of a fancy hotel, expensive hotel. That's what they started out. That's what got everybody pumped. The idea that we're going to have a hotel. Now, this was 6 or 7 years ago when they started this thing. We're going to have a hotel and we're going to have a nice restaurant, high-class restaurant. All right, so then there would be some other things like a camping area, bungee cords and things like that, or zip lines. Well, that was an idea. And so they went for it. Spent $325,000 pretty quickly. I think it's up to $420,000 now. But that was an experiment. Well, it hasn't panned out yet. Now, what I hear that the camping, the man with the camping business is a very successful businessman. And I understand that he is chomping at the bits to turn it back into a camping area. And I'm sure it'll be nicer than the state park camping area, but that's what he's planning on doing a lot of things down there to improve his business. And he knows what he's doing, I'm told. And this is a very good thing because we might get our money back if this guy's successful. Now, what I hear, this may not be true, don't hold me to this, but I understand he would like to take over this thing by himself and get the other businesses to come in as he can. And that's what I understand is going to happen now. That is a good idea. Because, in the beginning, the city said, well, we're not going to do this ourselves. We're going to get some other businesses to do this for us, and we're going to turn it over to them. And that was what we understood in the beginning. This man could achieve this for us. He could get the city out of the development business, and we can all hope they would never do this again, but get them out of the business. Let him handle it. He knows what he's doing. He's a businessman. He's a developer. He knows what he's doing. Our city councilmen, they know what they're doing in some areas of life, but they're not developers. None of them. None of them are developers. So let's hope that rumor is true. Let's hope that the city council will do what sounds like a good thing. I know one good thing is we need to take a break, and I know Wes is ready for me to do it, but I'm going to talk a little bit next about Donald Trump, and I'm going to talk about term limits and how they are interconnected.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Barton. Since 1903, multiple generations of my family have contributed to the growth of HTC while serving the local community. Our vision has always been to provide cutting-edge communication and entertainment services to the surrounding area. From home security to fiber optics, HTC will continue to provide services that enrich the lives of the customers we serve. HTC, technology you need, people you can trust.
On the Trane test range, you learn what makes our heating and cooling systems so reliable. If there's a breaking point, we'll find it. It's hard to stop a Trane, really hard.
Remember, McGee Heating and Air, comfort you can count on. It's hard to stop a train.
All right, so welcome back. I want to tell you about my business. I'm a realtor, as you know, and been real busy. There's not a lot of inventory right now going around. You know, everything is just getting sucked up about as fast as it can be listed. But I wanted to tell you this. I listed a very nice lake house. Very, very nice, close Coraline, beautiful view of the lake, nice dock. You know, docks can't have those anymore. They can't have those top level covered docks. They won't allow that anymore, but they do allow the ones that were already in existence to be grandfathered in. And this house has one of those docks, which is really a cool thing. So it will be, I should have it online hopefully Saturday or Sunday. It depends when I get the pictures back, but be on the lookout. It's going to be $539,000, which you can afford. So be looking for it. So wait a minute, did I get yeah, I did. Kudos to Hart County School System for donating surplus books to the Little Free Library. Great way to use surplus to benefit children and others in Hart County. Also, kudos to YMCA for hosting the site. You know, I had one of the local politicians tell me, I believe it was yesterday, that there are some things that I need to brush up on that I don't know about that costs me some credibility or something like that. This is one of those things. I didn't know anything about that. It was probably in the paper and I missed it, maybe, but anyway, I'm glad all that happened and thank you for letting me know. So, all right, so what we've got here now going on in the country, as you all know, as everybody in the country knows, the Democrats now are trying a new thing. They've shifted away from the Russia deal because, you know, that was a $30 million experiment that failed. It failed for them. And so now they're, and this is cool. Now they're trying to say that Donald Trump called a foreign head of state and asked about Joe Biden's son, something about him making this $50,000 a month or whatever it was. I don't know the details and you don't either, but I'm not asking you about that. But I'm going to make a point here in a minute. But to get this thing I saw on Facebook, this is really cool. The last 3 presidents slaughtered hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of innocent people. They illegally spied on all U.S. citizens. They bankrupted the greatest nation in the history of the world. None of this led to impeachment. But this phone call is the real scandal. To me, that was pretty slick. So here's the point I'm going to make. This is what is happening. Now, the people in the United States already know about this. We're learning more about it, and good grief, they're gonna just be hammering that stuff, shoving it down our throats for the next months or a year, 2 years maybe, who knows, but they're gonna be trying this stuff. We're gonna know so much more than we want to. It's not funny. But it's these people, these few people in the media and the people who hate Donald Trump in the Congress, and they hate him for a reason, by the way. They hate him because he's finally kicking some butt, and they hate him for it. But so it's these few people that are doing this impeachment thing. They're trying their best to stop him. And I want to relate that to this term limits fever that we have in this country right now. I know that term limits are very popular, and I know that I am swimming upstream because most of the people that I would be a natural ally with, I'm not on this issue. But it's the same thing with this Trump thing. There are a few people who want to say to the American people, we're going to impeach this guy. Now we know that there's only a little over a year before you, the American people, can vote this guy out of office if you think he's guilty of these high crimes and misdemeanors. If you think that he's guilty of that, kick him out of office in just a little over a year. We've got a campaign season coming up where whoever the Democrat candidate is can spend all of their time hammering him on asking this Ukrainian president or whatever he is, asking him about checking into Joe Biden's son, getting all this money. They can do that, and the American people can decide on Election Day if Donald Trump is guilty of some of these things. Now, in order to impeach him, keep in mind that the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of, be removed for, they can be impeached, like Bill Clinton was impeached, but he wasn't removed from office because he wasn't convicted of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanor. They can be removed from office for impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. So the American people could decide that. The American people got good sense. I know that the folks in Washington and the news media think that we're stupid, but we've got sense enough to figure out, after hearing all the evidence, we would be a jury. After hearing all the evidence, we've got sense enough to know whether we want to vote on this particular issue or not. Now, some people want to vote against Trump because they say he's a liar or he's a cheater or he's guilty of breaking the emoluments clause. There are all kind of things, all kind of reasons people might want to vote against Trump. Plenty of people want to vote for Trump because of the economy, because he's finally standing up to China, because he is standing up to everybody. So those are but if somebody wants to vote against Trump because he is guilty of treason or all these things, they have an opportunity to do it in November 2020. But see, what's happening is this group, they want to take him out before the election because they know what's best. Remember how they call us deplorables and all of that? They have a disdain for us regular people. They don't like us. They think we don't have sense enough to elect the right person. So they want to take him out. Same thing with term limits. Term limits, we're saying we, a few people, have better sense than all of the voters in America, that we need to limit the terms. Now, if we want to keep our congressman forever and ever and ever, if we think he's doing a good job and we want to keep him, no. Because some people are going to say, nope, too bad. You can't keep your congressman because we know what's best. We know that the terms ought to be limited. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Why do you want to limit somebody's terms? Why? Because we don't trust them. We think they're crooks. We think that most of the Congress is a bunch of crooks, right? That's why we want to do it. So if they're a bunch of crooks and we limit their terms, think of how crooked they're going to be in that last term. From the last election that they have till the last day in office. You talk about crooks. They're going to do some crooked stuff. But the real solution with this Donald Trump thing is to hear the evidence. Hear the evidence against Donald Trump. Hear the evidence against these congressmen. Inform ourselves. Understand economics. Understand history. Understand government. And then understand what we ourselves believe and put that up against who we have in Congress And if they're crooks, if they're stupid, if they're, not reflecting our views, kick them out. That is the term limits that the Founding Fathers gave us. They said every 2 years, the House of Representatives has got to come before the voters. Every 2 years. Why? Because every 2 years, they're the ones that control the purse. And if you don't like the way your money is being spent, kick out the House of Representatives. If your congressman is voting correctly and the rest of them are not, don't say that you ought to limit the terms. The American people in those districts, if they may be totally against you, against what you believe. They might be just totally opposite from what you believe. But it's their right to have a stupid, crooked congressman if they want one. It's not up to us to dictate to others who their congressman can be. It's not up to those few media people and Democrats that hate Donald Trump, and some Republicans that hate Donald Trump. It's not up to them to tell us that he's got to go because he made a phone call, unless we decide it's a high crime and misdemeanor, treason, or something like that. That's just something to think about. Look, I'm going to be back next week. Now, next week, I got Bill Griggs. Bill Griggs is coming on next week. Bill Griggs is running for his own seat. He's running for re-election to the city council. We had Doc Ayers on last week. He's running against Bill. Bill's coming on. So be looking forward to that. And then the week after that, I know we've got Patrick Guanella is going to come on and talk a little bit about all of these city things. So we're going to be going over the city a little bit, but I look forward to next week, and I know you will, and we'll see you then.